going to do a little introduction so that everybody knows what we're going to cover. So I'd like to introduce Jason Green. He helps entrepreneurs and their leadership team solve root problems. He lead more effectively, to gain traction in their business through a simple, proven operating system. This all came about in 2016. Jason's company had hit a ceiling, and he was handed a copy of the book Traction and has never looked back, often saying that it has changed his life. Jason understands firsthand, which is what's great for us that he joins us today, the challenges you may feel when your business gets stuck, when you've hit a ceiling, when you're possibly feeling a bit frustrated, or when you're not making enough profit. So we are delighted that Jason is joining us today, and we look forward to his session. And Jason is going to share a workbook with us. Thank you.
Great. Am I able to share my screen? Yep, that's great. Hopefully, 1 second, let me just arrange you all. So before I start, today what I'm going to do is, as Sarah said, I am going to introduce you to a system that is going to help you, grow beyond 250,000, 500,000, 1 million, whatever those ceilings that you feel. And it's a system for helping you manage the human energy in your business. It's a system to help you harmonize and orchestrate all the moving parts in your business. So it'd just be great to get a show of hands before we start. Has anybody here heard of EOS or read the book Traction?
Okay. I'm going to say I haven't read the book, but I have heard of the system.
Okay. So literally no one's heard it, which is great. So this is going to be a great value, I hope, for you today. So just to start with, most of the people that I talk to, and most of the people that EOS resonates with, really come to us with what we call 5 frustrations. And I certainly felt this in my business when I was running my business. So my business was an IT managed service provider business, which was growing pretty well, but I definitely had these issues. So the first one, my business just became chaotic. It was out of control, and it was controlling me instead of me controlling the business. It felt like I was hanging on to the back of a van, running up the M1, holding onto the back, trying to clamber in and get into the front seat and steer the car, steer the van. So my business was out of control, and it was my fault because I was trying to hold on to everything. And there's only so much you can do. Secondly, although we were growing and making more revenue, our profit was terrible. So for the amount of time, effort, and commitment that I was putting in, we just weren't making enough profit for that time and commitment. The third thing was people. And so who here has got people in their business apart from themselves? Okay, not many. So you're obviously at the beginning of the journey. Well, people can be the most frustrating thing in business, whether it's your own, your staff, whether it's your family, your suppliers. I ended up being so frustrated with my people because I thought they knew where I was going and what my vision was, but it was all in my head, and so nobody else apart from me knew what was going on. Thirdly, I just hit a ceiling. We kept hitting ceilings all the time, actually. No business grows in a straight line. You hit ceilings, and I hit so many ceilings, and I just couldn't break through. Tried so many things and couldn't break through those ceilings. And last of all, nothing was working. I was becoming the flavor of the month entrepreneur. Every month or 2 months, I'd come into the business and go, "We're going to try this," and then 2 months later, "No, we're going to try this," and nothing was working. And luckily, a good friend of mine, gave me this book, Traction, which explains EOS, and I'm going to go through it with you. And anyone that would like a copy of this book, please email me or email Sarah or Kim at the end of the session. Give them your address and I will pop a copy of this book in the post for you. So, you know, I read the book, thought it was going to be an airport book, but, you know, I read it and I was just like, Jason, what the hell have you been doing all these years? You complete imbecile. And so, you know, I got an implemented EOS in my business. You know, took about 3 years, but eventually sold the business. And now what I do is, you know, I'm just spreading the gospel of EOS because I wish I had come across EOS earlier in my entrepreneurial journey. So if you're ready, let me explain exactly what EOS is. So EOS stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And I want you to imagine your business at the center. I'm going to use a model to describe what EOS is. And actually, I'm going to begin at the end. I want to illustrate to you what it looks like at the end of a journey that you can take implementing EOS in your business. So, and the best way for me to do this is with a model with your business at the center. And this model stems from a discovery that every entrepreneur, every entrepreneurial leader wrestles with 136 issues simultaneously. And that discovery tells us to the extent you can strengthen 6 key components of your business, those 136 issues will fall into place because they're really symptoms of a true root cause. And so what we found with EOS is that great businesses do 6 things better than good or average companies. And so I'm going to explain what these 6 things are. So the first component of your business, of any business, is the vision component. And this is getting you all 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you plan to get there. But later on in the second part, and I'm not going to be able to go through the whole model today because I haven't got enough time, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the vision component. And then, you know, you're going to have to read the book to get all the other components, but I'm going to give you an overview first. The second key component is the people component. And you cannot run a great business. You cannot achieve success without great people. And truth be told, every organization defines great people differently. So what we do with EOS, we cut through all those wonderful terms out there like superstar, upper quartile, you know, A player, and we get right to the heart of what makes for great people in your organization. The third key component is the data component. And data is just running your business on facts and figures and objective information, rather than the feelings, egos, and emotions that often drive decision-making in entrepreneurial organizations. And what you find is when your vision, your people, and data components are strong, everything in your business becomes transparent and crystal clear. All the impurities, obstacles, challenges, and needs, they just jump right out at you. And that leads us nicely onto the fourth key component we call issues. And so issues is solving your issues as they arise. So you cannot achieve success unless you're great at setting your problems up as they arise, knocking them down, and making them go away forever. And the trick is there, making them go away forever. So we're always going to have issues in our business. But instead of having business deja vu and solving the same issues week in, week out, we solve them forever, and then we move on to another set of issues that we solve. The fifth key component, and probably, you know, everybody's going to fall asleep when I talk about process, but it's so important in your business. You know, process is about getting all the important stuff the right and best way every time. It helps create consistency and scalability in your organization, make it more manageable, more fun, and ultimately you're going to be making more profit when everything is done the right and best way every time. And it affects every other component. You know, if you've got process, it's going to help you with people, with data. It's going to help you solve your issues better. And the last key component is the traction component. And traction is about bringing your vision down to the ground and executing on your vision day in and day out. There's no coincidence that vision is at the top of the model and traction at the bottom, because if you can't bring your vision down to the ground and execute on it, then vision without traction is hallucination. So those are the 6 key components, and really the journey is just nice quote from Gino Wickman. The journey is really just to work to get you to 100% strong in each of these 6 key components, really knowing that that's impossible, that's utopia. What you really want to do is trying to get to 80% strong in each of these 6 key components. And truth be told, most organizations are operating somewhere around 20% strong in each of these 6 key components, succeeding in spite of themselves. So if you can get these to 80% strong or better, it's going to help you run a better business, but most importantly, achieve that dream. When we start a business and it's just us, our dream is to have more time, create a great company, maybe have more money. And that dream doesn't always happen because of weaknesses in each of these 6 key components. So, focus on getting these 6 key components to 80% strong or better. I'll move on. I won't do questions yet. We'll do that at the end. So let's dig into one of these key components. I think we've probably only got time for the vision component today. So let's talk about the vision component. So the vision component is just getting you, as I said, getting you all 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you plan to get there. And the first tool or discipline I'm going to share with you today is a tool or discipline called the 8 questions. And quite simply, you just need to answer 8 simple questions. When I do this, I work with the leadership team and I help them work. We work together just to answer these 8 simple questions. So the first question is what is your core values? Second question, what's your core focus? Your 10-year target, your 3-year picture, your 1-year plan, your core T rocks, and your issues list. Now, these 8 questions we keep on a 2-page document that we call the Vision Traction Organizer, or the VTO for short. And look, if you don't take anything else from this this webinar, please use this tool. It's a really powerful tool. It's going to help you crystallize the vision for your organization. And afterwards, you are going to be sent a workbook, which looks like this. And in the workbook is the VTO, but I'm going to go through it on the page. So you're going to get a copy of that. Is that right, Sarah? Yeah, great. So let's talk about these 8 questions. So this is the VTO. There's the vision side, and this is what we call the traction side, and that's why it's called the Vision Traction Organizer. So let's talk about core values. So core values are just an essential set of guiding characteristics that define who you are at the core and what you want from the culture of your organization. Now, there's a lot of cynicism out there about core values. Any of you remember Enron? Well, one of their core values was integrity. So, I'm not surprised that there's cynicism out there, but they're really important. And I really urge you, and I'll tell you why they're important in a second. It depends. It's really how you use your core values. That's what's important. So, go through a discovery exercise, discover and define your true core values. Because later, I'm not going to get to the people component, but in the people component, this is where we use the core values. And we use the core values to attract great people to your organization, people that fit your culture, people that you want to surround yourself with, people that are just a great fit, and repel people who are not a great fit. So that's why core values are so important. And once you have your core values, you use them to hire, fire, review, reward, and recognize your people. The second key component is your core focus. And this has been called a million things in the history of business. It's been called a vision statement, a mission statement. Jim Collins calls it hedgehog concept. Stephen Covey calls it voice. And I'm sorry, it's a consulting term, but it's really important. It comes from your core. And once it's clearly defined and articulated, the trick is to stay laser focused within your core focus. So you're always working within your sweet spot. And it's split into two parts. It's your purpose, cause, or passion, which is why you do what you do. And you must have all heard Simon Sinek and his why. And it's your niche, what you do. And so, for example, Disney's why is to make people happy. Just as simple as that. So what is your why?
Jason, can I just make this really specific here? Is it not the same as a USP?
No.
Okay.
No.
Could you possibly expand on why?
Well, we'll get there in a second. Your USP is what's unique to the marketplace, why people would buy from you. We call that your three uniques, and we'll get to that in the marketing strategy. But that's the difference. Core focus is about what you love and what you love to do and what you're best at. And when it's clearly defined and articulated, it helps you make better decisions. So, imagine Disney. If it's not going to make people happy, well, maybe we shouldn't do it. And, once it's clearly defined, articulated, you've got to get all your people, processes, and systems defined to drive your core focus with absolute consistency. So find your core focus, why you do what you do, what you do. It's all in the book as well, all explained in the book. So that's core focus. The next one is your 10-year target. And this is just your long range goal for your organization. It can be flexible, anywhere between 5 and 15 years. And it's just a simple number one long-term business goal for your organization. Now, let's why don't we do a little workshop here? So for your business, it'd be great if you could write down, your 10-year target. Okay, so the way to do this, first set a date. So maybe the date is end of 2032. Think about your business and think about the number one, and it's just one thing, the number one business goal for your organization. And you've got to make it smart. It can't be, I want to have a great business in London. It's got to be smart. And when I mean smart, I mean specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So the timely part is easy, 2032. That's the easy bit. But what do you want? Is it a monetary value? Is it, £100 million company? Is it, I just did a 10-year target with a team that does smart buildings. Okay, so their 10-year target is they want to have their technology in 1 billion square feet of real estate by 2032. And so it should be something that when you're going to employ people, it excites them. They want to be part of it. Money isn't always the best motivator. And it's just that number one goal. It's Jim Collins calls it your big, hairy, audacious goal. So take a minute, think about what that is. And I'd love one of you to raise your hand and be brave enough to share your 10-year target. Because the more people you share your 10-year target with, the more likely it's going to happen, because the more accountable you're going to become to it. Would anyone like to share their 10-year target? Anyone brave enough?
That was a hand up from Mendy.
Go on, Mindy.
How much detail do you want?
Well, it's a simple number one goal. So all I need you to say is by 2032 or whatever the date is, this is what I'm going to do.
By 2032, I want to have a £3.5 million business turnover
Great. Perfect. Perfect.
with a 40% net profit margin.
Okay. Anyone else willing to share? Okay, I will move on. But whatever that 10-year target is, obsess about it, tell people about it, because the more you do that, the more likely it is you're gonna achieve it. And don't worry about how you're gonna get there, because you've probably got no idea at the moment, and that's the whole point of it. It's just a big, hairy, audacious goal. So that's your 10-year target. It's going to get you and your leadership team, if you've got one, 100% on the same page with where you're going long term. The fourth question is, what is your marketing strategy? Simple stuff here. So this is getting you to agree, if you've got a leadership team, who you should speak to and what you should say to get the biggest return on investment from your precious sales and marketing energy. So if you've only got £500 to spend, who should you speak to and what should you say? So the target market is just qualifying your ideal prospect. The geographic, demographic, and psychographic profiles of the types of people or companies that you should be laser focused on proactively selling and marketing to. Once that's clear, the rest of your marketing strategy is just your message to those ideal clients. So your three uniques, your USP. This is your three things that make you different and better than the competition. Three things that set you apart from the competition. So, for example, Southwest Airlines had the three LFs: low fares, lots of flights, lots of fun. And actually, their CEO got a letter from a very disgruntled flyer that said, you know, flying isn't fun. You need to be taking it seriously. And the CEO wrote back, said, thank you for your business. Please enjoy all the other airlines you can travel with. You can't please everyone. And so, you know, it's, and the EOS, our EOS, you know, three uniques are vision, traction, healthy. I won't go into it, but I think you can guess what those mean. And it helps you and everybody in the organization understand what you're promising to your clients. The third one is a proven process. And this is just a one-page visual illustration about the way that you take care of your clients from the moment they think about doing business with you to the time they become long-term satisfied business partners of yours. I'm just going to grab my one. Our one. So this is our proven process, one-page visual illustration. And so there's two great benefits of having this. First of all, it helps especially if you're in a service industry, it helps your clients understand how you're going to take care of them. Gives them confidence that you're going to take care of them. And your competitors probably don't have one. And it's always better to show someone how you're going to take care of them rather than telling them. And then the last one is just a guarantee. It's a pledge or promise. It can reduce the fear of adoption and eliminate obstacles that you might face in the sales and marketing process. So our EOS guarantee is, if you do not get value from one of our sessions, please don't pay us. It's as simple as that. If you get value, give me a check or make a transfer today at the end of the session. It's that simple. Is there a guarantee that could help reduce the fear of adoption for you and help remove those obstacles in the sales and marketing process? So that's your three uniques. So once you're all on the same page with your core values, your core focus, your 10-year target, and your marketing strategy, you know who you are at the core, what you love and are best at doing with your core focus, you know where you're going long term, and you know how you're going to get there with your marketing strategy, you can then bring your vision down to the ground and start making it real with your 3-year picture. So here, you first start, you know, so this isn't a 3 to 5 year strategic planning process you're going to go through. No 45-page documents here. All you want to do is paint a picture of exactly what this business is going to look like in 3 short years from now. Because if you and everybody else you're working with can see the same picture in your mind's eye, the chance you're going to achieve it is significantly higher. So you just start by predicting your revenue, profit, and measurables. What do you need to achieve 3 years from now to lay the foundation for achieving your 10-year target? And then you'll see 5 to 15 bullet points underneath the question, what does it look like? And this is where you just work together to paint a picture of what this organization is going to look like in 3 short years from now. How many employees you're going to have, how many offices you're going to have, what sort of technology are you going to be using? You know, are you going to have a marketing seat? You know, what is, just visualize what this business is going to look like, your business is going to look like in 3 short years from now. And so once that's crystal clear, you know, if you can see that picture in your mind's eye, the chances you're going to achieve it are so much stronger. And it also sets you up for great 1-year planning. So you can then turn the document to the traction side, really bring your vision down to the ground and start prioritizing and planning with your 1-year plan. So your 1-year plan is, you know, we use the same predictions of revenue, profit, measurables. What do you need to achieve this year to lay the foundation for achieving your vision? And then you set 3 to 7 priorities for the year. We call them goals. And you'll see 3 to 7 goals, not 23 goals, because when everything is important, nothing is important. So we made predictions of what your revenue, profit, and measurables need to be this year. And we've set 3 to 7 clear, aligned goals. We then move to question number 7, which is rocks. Rocks are 90-day business priorities, okay, getting you all 100% on the same page with what's most important over the next 90 days. And it creates a 90-day world in your organization. You start by predicting your revenue, profit, and measurables again, and then you set 3 to 7 rocks for the company over the next 90 days and 3 to 7 rocks for every member of your leadership team. So if you hire someone, they get rocks as well. It creates discipline, focus, and accountability. So we're executing on your vision every 90 days. And by executing on your business every 90 days and creating that 90-day world, that is what is going to help you achieve your 10-year target, whatever that was. Once that's clear, we then just move on to your issues list. And so we create an issues list. And so if you remember earlier, I said when your vision, your people and data components are strong, everything in your business is going to become transparent and crystal clear. All your impurities, imperfections, challenges, and obstacles are just going to jump right out at you. And there is therapy in getting those issues out of your head and onto a document somewhere in your business. So as you can see, this is a really simplified approach to strategic planning, just 8 questions. And there's no magic in these 8 questions, but when you've got a team of people that are working for you, there is magic and alignment, everybody rowing in the same direction. And that takes me on to tool or discipline number 2, which we call shared by all. So when you build a team, you've got to get this vision shared by everybody in your organization. You've got to get them all to see your vision, understand your plan, and want to be part of it. And to do that, to achieve that objective, you just got to tell them about it. You've got to get them in a room every 90 days and give them a quarterly state of the company address. You've got to share with everybody in your organization your vision and your plan. Like I said, get them to internalize it, understand it, want to be part of it. And ultimately you're going to get to the point where everybody in your organization is rowing in the same direction, helping you achieve the same vision and plan that you all share. And not to get too kumbaya on you, but this is true to the extent you can get everybody focused on one vision, rowing in the same direction. You know, that's when the magic happens. You know, planets align in the universe in ways we can't explain. And so when you've got your 8 questions and your vision is being shared by all, and notice the wording there. You know, we could have put shared with all. It's not shared with all, it's shared by all. So you're all following. Once you've got the 8 questions and everybody shares your vision, that is what gets you to 100% strong in the vision component. Now, I've got a little bit more time. So I'm just thinking which component I could do another component. Let's talk about traction. I'm going to whiz through all this stuff. I tell you what, let's talk about right people, because if you remember, we talked about, let's talk about the people component a little bit, not in too much detail because I haven't got time. But, you know, I'm sure at some point you're all going to think about hiring someone for your business. It's the obvious next step. So the people component, when we talk about people, we talk about right people in the right seats. You've got to have both. And these are 2 tools popularized by Jim Collins in his book Good to Great. And so we'll take these one at a time. So as I said before, right people are people that share your core values, people that consistently exhibit your core values, people that fit your culture like a glove. And the first tool we use is a tool that we call the People Analyzer. So this is the People Analyzer. You're going to get this in the workbook. And the People Analyzer allows you to assess all your people, whether or not, black or white, they consistently exhibit your core values. And better still, it facilitates clear and effective communication where they're succeeding and where they're falling short. So it's going to help you drive culture and get all of your people feeling as though they're the right fit. So imagine these are our EOS core values. So our core values are humbly confident, grow or die, help first, do the right thing, and do what you say. So I'm living my core value today, help first. So we use this tool in this way. So you put people's names down the left, and then you rate your people with a very simple scoring mechanism of plus, minus, and minus. Okay, so a plus means most of the time that person exhibits the core value. A minus means most of the time that person does not exhibit the core value. And a plus minus means sometimes they do and sometimes they don't exhibit your core value. So you can rate all your people whether or not they consistently exhibit your core value. So as you can see here, Jalen and Amina are not doing very well. So it helps, especially with teams, it helps cut through all those, you know, the amount of times I see teams discuss their employees over and over and over again. I always get them to pull out the People Analyzer and analyze their people. And this is also a great tool if you're having a courtesy conversation with your people. You know, you can fill in the People Analyzer for them. They can do it for themselves. And then you can have a great conversation of where the differences are. So this helps you drive culture. And we also set a bar, what we call a bar. This is a minimum standard. So for this business, everybody in the business must have any combination of a minimum of 3 pluses and 2 plus minuses. It's a floating bar, so any combination. So anyone that's at or below the bar, you need to coach up or coach out of the business. So that's right people. It's going to help you drive your culture. Right seats. We haven't got a lot of time to go through this, but I'm going to give you the headlines. So right seats are just people that are good at their job. the people with the God-given talent, ability, skill, desire to be great, capacity to be great at their job. And the tool we use for that is a tool that we call the accountability chart. And what we do, we talk about structure first, people second. Okay, because this is what happens in most organizations, and this is what I did. I was building a company, I would meet someone, I go, oh, they'd be great in my business. And I bring them in and I create a seat for them in the business. And I would just keep hiring people like that until I had a whole bunch of people that were probably right people, but they were no good at the seats they were meant to be in, because I didn't really have seats for them. So when you're building a company, I really urge you, and it's sometimes really difficult, to do structure first, people second. And so what I mean by structure is build out what we call your accountability chart. And so I'm not going to go, I can't go through this in too much detail, but focus on your three major functions, which is your marketing and sales, your operations and finance. Most organizations have only three major functions. Now you can tailor this, because marketing and sales might split out into marketing and sales. You might have 1, 2, or 3 operating functions, and finance might split into IT and HR. Even if there's just one of you in the business, build this out. Okay, and for each of the seats on here, put the 5 roles that seat is accountable for. So for example, marketing sales, that seat might be accountable for LMA. LMA we call leadership, management, and accountability. And it's everything you need to do to lead and manage your direct reports. They're accountable for marketing, hitting sales numbers, selling, maybe lead generation. But what are the 5 roles that seat is accountable for? And for anyone to sit in that seat, you're also going to get this in the workbook. They need to get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. And so I know this is an American football, I think, example, but imagine this is a centre back, like a footballer or a striker. You could put the 5 roles for the centre back and the 5 roles for the striker. And so to be able to sit in that seat, you have to get it. Get it is the genetic encoding, the God-given talent to be great at that job. So you get you don't get many centre backs that are strikers and vice versa. You just, you get it. You just, put on this earth to do it. You've got to want it. You can't pay someone to want it. You can't train them to want it. They just got to generally spring out of bed in the morning wanting to do this kind of work. And the last one is they've got to have the capacity to do it. This is the learnt skills and ability. So do they have the intelligence, the brains to do this job well? Do they have the emotional, the heart, the emotional intelligence to do the job well? If it's a physical job, do they have the stamina? And can they do the job in a reasonable amount of time? So, if you expect someone to paint a wall in 20 minutes, can they paint that wall in 20 minutes, or is it taking them 5 hours to do it? So you've got to get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. So once you've defined the seat, the structure first, you can then put people in seats. But like I said, to sit in that seat, they need to get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. So to this people analyzer, you can add get, want, and capacity. And so you then rate those person yes or no, whether they get it, want it, have the capacity. And so as you can see, this helps you understand whether your people are the right people, folks that share your core values, in the right seats. You've got to have both. And so you can do that. You can build up your whole organization like this with the seats. So when you got every team, crystallize every team, crystallize everybody's roles and responsibilities. So you do structure first, and when you got this, you then put people in seats. So what they love, what they're great at, what they can consistently execute on, matches the 5 roles in the seats. And when you use these tools and follow these process, you're going to get 2 very distinct people issues. The first one is when you've got the right person in the wrong seat. We've all seen this. This is someone you love. They're great to be around. They're just not very good at their job. So hopefully if you've got enough people in your business, you can move them to a seat, which is great for them, and they can GWC. If not, I'm going to urge you to make a change, because you, in a for-profit organization, even in a not-for-profit organization, you can't keep people in your business just because you like spending time with them. The second people issue you're going to get is the wrong person in the right seats. We've all seen this. This is someone that's highly productive. They're hitting their numbers. We see this in football teams all the time, where someone is disruptive. They're chipping away at your culture right now. They're going to kill you in the long run. So when that's the case, I'm going to beg with you, plead with you, urge with you to make a change, because they're going to kill you in the long run. They're destroying the culture in your organization. So 100% strong in the people component, that's a really quick version, is 100% of the right people in the right seats. So I think I'm going to leave it there. Obviously, all the rest of them also have a bunch of tools. They're all in the workbook. And if you want a copy of Traction, let me know. I'm going to stop the sharing my screen and open this up to Q&A. Thank you.
Brilliant. Jason, thank you so much. That's fantastic.
You're welcome.
Can I start and kick off a question? And then we'll see what follows. So the first thing I think that I need to ask, and we all need to understand, is how would you advise anyone listening today to start introducing EOS? What is the first step?
So it depends on the size of your business. If you're a solo entrepreneur and you're looking to grow your business and get to that BHAG, I would start with the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer, with the 8 questions, because that's going to help you really motivate whoever your next hire is. They're gonna see, and it's going to help you build the foundations for your business. And I would do the accountability charts as well, build the structure of your organization. I would do we didn't go through it. I would build a scorecard. In fact, I can bring these 3 up. 1 second. These 5 things that I would recommend you do. Yeah, these are the 5. Let me share this. These are the 5 that I would recommend you do. So answer those 8 questions as best you can. Don't go for perfection. Just get something written down. It's gonna make a big difference. Start building out that accountability chart. Be aware that you're probably sitting in all the seats for now. That's fine, but it will help you conceptualize which seat you need to hire next and go out and get the right person. And just remember, you can never have 2 people in one seat, because when 2 people are accountable, nobody is accountable. But you can be in many seats, just an issue. Set some rocks for the next 90 days. What's the most important things you need to do over the next 90 days? Have a meeting pulse. Look, if it's just you, there's not really much point, but if you've got someone else, have a weekly meeting pulse. I haven't been into that in detail, but it's in the book. And create a scorecard, 5 to 15 numbers that you need to track on a weekly basis. Otherwise, you're flying blind. Does that help?
It does. I seem to have, I don't know whether I'm having a problem. I seem to have lost you. I think it's probably my laptop more than anything else. Kim, are you there? I don't know what's happened with
I'm
my
here.
laptop.
Sorry, I was on Zoom. I was on mute. You all right, Sarah?
I seem to have. I'm just going to try and rejoin. Sorry.
Can you,
Don't worry. While
can everyone else see me? Okay, great.
Michael, the answer to that is yes. That is the book that Jason's mentioned. And can I ask you a question while Sarah's grappling with her technological problems?
Yes.
Out of the 6 parts of the EOS model, which did you find the most challenging to implement?
All of it. I mean, it really is a journey. I mean, this isn't a quick fix. You know, don't expect to just do this and magic to happen. There's no, you know, everything's there's no magic in it. It's all very simple stuff that every business should do. But like I said, start by focusing on the 5 things, you know, the VTO, the accountability, the ROCs, meeting, pulse, and scorecard. And, you know, you will grapple with lots of different things, but just get started and do something, because you're going to create that momentum.
Sorry, I'm back now. Sorry about that.
Great.
Jason, can I just ask, so in the models that you've talked about, we've started with the people side, and I completely understand why you started with that. But for you, when you went through this, so this is a question with a slightly different slant, asking you not just from you being an EOS implementer, but from you actually using this in your own business. How did you get your employees to buy into the values?
Yes. So, and that's interesting because we sort of had values before. And so what I found is that it started with building a leadership team. Okay. And getting the leadership team to come up, discover those values with me. And so that helped to make sure that I had buy-in from the leadership team with the core values. That is key with all this stuff. You know, if you can't get the leadership team to buy into EOS, none of the rest of the stuff works. So that was the first step. But then it was you know, starting to use these values to hire people. You know, I would give what we call our, you know, we'd use the core values to dissuade people to join the company. So I would say to, you know, I would do an interview with a potential new person and say, these are our values. This is how we expect you to behave. If you do not feel you can behave this way, maybe this isn't the right place for you. And then, you know, really acting on those values. So, you know, if someone in the business wasn't behaving because these are our sort of way we want our people to behave. If they're not behaving in that way, doing something about it. Because if you let it go, if you let, you know, Jim, you know, not be humbly confident or help first, whatever the value is, you know, that sends out a terrible message to the rest of the org. It just means, you know, these values don't mean anything. So you've really got to live and breathe them. And then when, you know, what we did is when we were recognizing people, we would say, you know, that's a great example of, and so it's just that reinforcing all the time and acting and always using those core values as sort of our guiding light, as the soul of our business. That's how it worked.
Okay, that's really helpful. So I just, you know, I'm just comparing that to how we work at Work Avenue. And I think core values for us would be potentially that everybody is a team player. And that certainly in the team that we have here, we're very lucky. Everybody has a can-do attitude and always wants to learn and improve. And that's the kind of way that we hope our clients get that message from us, whether their interactions with the business team or the employment team. But what actually is the value that helps people run their businesses better? Is it better control of the business? Is it better work-life balance? What would you say is the core value that makes the difference?
It depends on the company. No two companies have the same core values. So you've got to just discover and define what your core values are, and then attract people that those resonate with, you know. So there isn't anyone in EOS worldwide that isn't a help first, you know, doesn't get a plus on the help first. If they were a minus or, you know, below the bar, you know, those people tend to opt themselves out because it's just not the right fit. You know,
so in your experience in terms of losing people, because I think for a lot of our bigger businesses, managing staff really is a core thing. Do you think there's a natural wastage? Do you think people if the company is using an EOS system, an EOS model, do people go by themselves because they feel that they don't fit? Or do you think that actually comes from the people implementing the model?
No, Pete, there's always wastage when we implement EOS in business, and it happened in my business as well. There were people that opted out. There were people who realized that they were in the wrong seat, but because you're making it clear for everybody, you're making it clear how they need to behave in this business. You know, your handful of rules, I call them. And I talk about, great parents. There was a book by Dr. Thomas Gordon, I think it was, called Parent Effectiveness Training. And he says great parents do 3 things better than good or average parents. And they have a handful of rules, they repeat themselves often, and they follow those rules. They walk the talk. And so that's what your values are. They're your handful of rules. You've got to repeat yourself often. It takes people 7 times to really internalize and understand something. And then as a leadership team or as the owner, you've got to walk the talk. If you're not following those core values, nobody else is. And over time, people just opt out, and you attract people that really, love your business as a great place to work, because they're right people in the right seats.
Okay, got it. I really monopolized the questions because I love Flight List, and I happen to really love this model. So I just want to check, Jason, before we thank you, whether there's anybody else that would like to ask anything. Please either unmute yourself or please put it in the chat. Is there anybody that would like to ask Jason anything while we have him with us? Kim, do you want to ask anything else, or are you good?
I suppose that one question that remains is, it would be interesting to know which parts of the model that you've told us made the most immediate change to your organization, or was it only once you'd implemented everything fully?
No, I mean, so the way, because I had a business of about 12 people when we implemented it. I had a leadership team. We focused the first month on what I would call traction, getting a first set of rocks in place, having that weekly, which we didn't talk about, weekly meeting pulse. And so getting a bit of the discipline and focus in place. So, we had rocks for 90 days, we had weekly meeting polls, we had a scorecard, things that we had to do on a weekly basis. So that was just an amazing start, that suddenly people started becoming accountable for things. Then we started implementing, getting the vision together, and getting on the same page with the vision. So I would say it only took about 3 months to really see some great value, but it's about a 2-year journey to really get the whole organization running on EOS. But obviously with a small business, if it's just you and you're growing, this is about building the foundations. It's so much easier to do this now and then bring people on, and this is how we run our business, rather than doing what I had to do when I had 15 people and I had to sort of do it backwards. So great opportunity if you're just starting a business to build the foundation.
Brilliant. That is the most fantastic link for us at Work Avenue. So Jason, thank you so much. Thank you for your time and for all the work that you put into preparing the session for us and for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We are going to share Jason's workbook with everybody who came today. And if there's anyone that'd like to come and talk to Kim or Joe and I about it, use it as a basis for a business advice session or for anything else that they're doing in the business, we would love to see you and hear from you. Otherwise, Jason, thank you again.
You're welcome.
It's been lovely to meet you, and thank you for your time. We're
Take
going to
care.
stop recording this session in a minute, but we have our last session coming up at